you hate homeless people, you're stigmatizing homeless people. Don't call them homeless people. They're unhoused, which I don't even understand why unhoused would be better than saying homeless. Like,
has Ana Kasparian left the Democratic Party? We've been kind of witnessing her transition over the past year, and many people think that she actually voted for Donald Trump in this last election. I'd like to know what you think, so let me know in the comments. But in this one, she goes on to Piers Morgan Uncensored and discusses a little bit of what she has been experiencing, and let's go ahead and have a look.
Well, now for a view from the opposite side of the aisle, but maybe not as opposite as you may think. Ana Kasparian is a progressive journalist and commentator, best known for her work alongside my old friend Cenk Uygur and liberal network The Young Turks. She has some strident views on where it all went wrong for the Democrats in this election, and she's faced an avalanche of personal attacks from liberal followers for denouncing President Biden, Gavin Newsom, and wokeism, among other Democratic deities. So has Ana Kasparian left the left? Let's find out. She joins me now. Ana, welcome to your uncensored debut.
thank you for having me, Piers.
We've tried to lure you on many times, but you haven't taken the Cenk route of coming on just to shout at me, but it's good to have you finally. And we'll get to Cenk later, don't worry.
Thank you.
I just want to talk to you. So
well, you need to give me one promise.
Go on.
You have to give me one promise that you guys aren't going to do me dirty in the thumbnail for this video. You promise?
You know what? I can't promise because we've done some corkers recently, particularly involving Cenk. But as he knows better than anybody, a great thumbnail drives more traffic. And that's the game we're in. We want people to watch what we're doing.
True.
Otherwise, what's the point? So we are very proud of our thumbnail.
I mean, if I look
record.
attractive... If I look attractive, that might actually draw some more eyebrows. So think about it.
Wow, you're playing that card. Well, I admire it. I admire it. Listen, to be serious, you've made a bit of news recently. We've got a little sot to start with of your reaction to when Trump won in 2016.
I have no respect for women who voted for Trump. Okay.
Yeah. Me too.
I think so poorly of them, and the reason why is because. Look, I don't think that you're a single issue voter. I just think you're dumb, okay? I think you're fucking dumb. When you vote for someone who openly treats women like second-class citizens, who talks about them as if they're nothing more than a piece of meat, who has been accused of sexually assaulting them, who has been caught on tape talking about groping them and grabbing them by the pussy without consent, yeah, you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
So, Ana, have you moderated your view of Trump voters this time around?
To say the least. That video I am not proud of, I will say that. And, you know, I had a very emotional reaction to news that Trump won in 2016. I was totally blindsided by it. And to be quite frank, I think that attacking voters is one of the worst things you can do. These are our fellow Americans, regardless of who they vote for, what they think. In order for this great experiment in America to work, we have to respect each other. And so that was 8 years ago. I'd like to think that I've matured since then, and I hope that I can prove that maturity through the work that I do today.
You said 5 days before the election, you posted this, I think, to X, I don't support Trump. I also don't think it's helpful to call him a fascist or a Nazi. Those words actually mean something beyond not liking a candidate. I mean, I completely agree with you. And I respected you for saying that, because actually the over-demonization of Trump, all it did was help him and damage the left anyway. I mean, it was an act of self-harm, because most reasonable-minded people went, well, hang on, Hitler killed 12 million people. What are you talking about? And if he was such a terrible fascist, why didn't he behave like a fascist for 4 years when he had the chance? And the truth is he didn't. You know, January 6th was awful. And I wrote that at the time and said it at the time. But other than that, where you could construct an argument for this was the kind of thing you would see in a sort of a banana republic, there's nothing about Trump's first term which screamed fascism to me. And I felt that persistent attack and he's the new Hitler was just ludicrous.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's insulting for, like, the Jewish community that, of course, was victimized by Hitler. It kind of downplays or minimizes the severity and the brutality of Hitler and what he carried out. But, you know, I think that just to play devil's advocate, those who kind of use phrases or words like fascist in order to describe Donald Trump, you know, they're not using it in an academic sense. They're using it in regard to some of the, you know, authoritarian tendencies that we heard about regarding Donald Trump in his first term. And, you know, you can argue, well, there's a lot of hearsay. There's a lot of comments from disgruntled former administration officials who claim that Trump said these things behind closed doors. If you want to make that argument, that's fine.
There was also a lot of fake news and even a fake Russian collusion investigation that cost the United States taxpayers like over $30 million that the FBI and pretty much everybody involved knew was a fake witch hunt. Well, actually, it even started before that. The day that Donald Trump was inaugurated, they took a picture many hours before it started, and the mainstream media was claiming that nobody was there. Nobody was there to support Donald Trump, and people even said that the impeachment investigation begins today, the day that he was inaugurated, the very first time he won. So there's all that as well.
But even if, let's give those individuals the benefit of the doubt and just assume that Trump did in fact say those things during closed-door meetings, it still doesn't rise to the actual definition of a fascist, right? I mean, where are the brown shirts? You know, where is the militarized citizenry that's going to carry out, you know, Trump's dirty deeds? It's a type of hyperbole that I don't think Democrats, and I'm not talking about the voters, I'm talking about Democrats in positions of power, genuinely believed. I think what they did is use tactics of fear and division in order to accumulate votes and support in lieu of having an actual imagination of what this country could be if they implement policies that make the lives of ordinary Americans better. The Democrats have made a deal with the devil, and the devil is their corporate donors. And since their corporate donors want very specific things for the donations that they're providing to these politicians, and usually that's a policy that does not bode well for American workers, what Democrats tend to do is lean into tactics of fear, or they talk about culture war issues, right? They lean into the culture war. And every election cycle, they get more and more maximalist with what they claim they want to carry out on these culture war topics. And they've gone too far. And I think Americans have kind of fought back against them.
You gave some, I mean, 3 events that you've referenced, which made you reassess your political alignment. The first one was when you revealed you'd been sexually assaulted by 2 homeless people in LA in 2022. And you were accused of stigmatizing your unhoused neighbors, which was a staggering response to a woman revealing she'd been sexually assaulted. Tell me about that.
Right. I mean, you know, I hate having to like relive it, but yeah, I was walking my dog and there were 2 men coming toward me. But, you know, living in Los Angeles, there is a large homeless population, and I had never been, you know, victimized by anybody before. So I didn't think much of it. As I was bending over to pick up my dog's mess, you know, one of them grabbed me by the hips and with an erection, just started thrusting at me very violently. I was terrified. I was alone. I didn't have a weapon on me. And so, you know, it took a while for me to get over that, because whether I like it or not, I have to walk my dog. Right. Sometimes I have to do it at night, right? And so I had to kind of think about that every single time I was taking my dog out to walk. And so I had just opened up about it on our show, not really thinking that it was going to lead to backlash. I wasn't even looking for sympathy. It was on my mind, and I just talked about it. And it led to just this wave of, you hate homeless people, you're stigmatizing homeless people, don't call them homeless people, they're unhoused, which I don't even understand why unhoused would be better than saying homeless.
And by the way, these are the same people. This is what the left
likes to do. Right. They like to change the language instead of actually addressing the issue at hand. Yeah,
and these are the same people who supposedly are there for women, right? And fighting for women, and you know, supporting women and believe women, all this kind of thing. But when it actually came to you, they just were prepared to throw you on the horrific bus. And far from treating you as a victim, they almost made you out to be the villain of this story.
They did, but I want to be clear about something. I think that this is a small but incredibly loud and influential faction of the Democratic Party. This is not indicative of all Democrats. This is not indicative of all Democratic lawmakers. This is a small group of activists who like to bully, who like to go to city council meetings, who like to go to various rallies and essentially be loud, be threatening, be aggressive until they get their way. And for far too long, the Democratic Party has been terrified of these little mobs of people, these little mobs of activists, and have basically just carried out what these activists want.
That last part was only partially true. That's where it all starts, right? These very few people that are the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, so to speak, right? But then the rest of the party, they begin to listen. It's like they're the cult leaders, these crazy fringe people that she just described. They're the cult leaders, and then everybody else has to follow in lockstep. Or just like what happened with Ana Kasparian when she comes out and says that she was essayed by two homeless men, which, you know, not to victim shame or anything, but it's more healthy to bend at the knees than it is to bend at the waist. So I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing, right? Don't want to make light of that. And so anyways, but the point is, anytime you do anything or question anything that's not like pushing the cult narrative, they're very quick to throw you out. And so that's kind of what happened with her, essentially a tidbit. That's when she got her first taste of it, which actually this might have been the second taste. I'm not sure which one came first, when she got really mad about being called a birthing person instead of a woman, which is another example of how the left fringe cult would rather change the definition of a word or come up with a new phrase to describe something that's been defined specifically in the American language for centuries. They'll come up and change it to cater to the fringe rather than just calling it what it is, right? A homeless person. I mean, there's so many things. I don't need to go through the list. But it appears that Ana Kasparian and even Cenk Uygur a bit are fully aware of what's going on within the Democratic Party, yet they still co-sign to it, right? I don't know. It's just rings to me of complicitness. You know better, but you still just go with the narrative. And maybe that's because they're getting a bunch of money, which I'm actually wondering if recently some of that money is dried up now that Trump has won, and they're just trying to save their careers. Cenk especially, just trying to save their careers and stay relevant because they backed the wrong horse, and ultimately they've spent the last couple years on the wrong side of history, catering to the fringe rather than calling it out, when the rest of us were sitting here telling you that Joe Biden is old and senile. We've been calling him Sleepy Joe since he ran in 2020, yet they're out here telling us that he is cognitively strong and coherent and spry and young and, you know, all these things, which we knew better, but yet they were too scared to call it out because they were afraid of being kicked out of the cult, losing their jobs, getting their funding revoked, whatever it is. And so look, I'm a fan of leaving people a path to redemption, because if you don't leave people a path to redemption, they're only doomed to go back into the same place that they came from rather than learning from their mistakes. And, you know, so here's hoping that these people wake up. Here's hoping that life is much better over these next 4 years under Donald Trump's leadership, and that people just wake up and realize and recognize that what they were told during these last 4 years from the Democratic Party, from the Democratic mouthpiece, the mainstream media, these pundits on the left like Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur and Sam Cedar and David Pacman and everybody else, that they were wrong, that they were lied to, and all the boogeyman scare tactics didn't work and won't ever work on these people again, you know? And so hopefully, like I said, these people wake up and realize that the Democratic Party has completely lost the narrative. They have lost interest in caring for the American people and doing what's best for us. And in 2028, they'll be willing to vote for a Republican and continue Trump's work and continue to be America first, which is something that we all need as Americans from our government, from our leadership. And so with that, I just want to remind you, You can catch me live on the Jar Openers podcast on this channel every Wednesday and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, which we have created a Discord for people to come join, be a part of the family, be a part of the conversation. The link is in the description. Also, check out the t-shirt store. I got Christmas coming up. Hopefully they'll be able to get the orders out in time, but if not, it's a way that you can support the channel and get a little bit back for it. And the great thing is there's a free way that you can support the channel, and that is by simply liking the video, subscribing to the channel, sharing the videos, and you know, when you think about clicking away, watch for another minute or two. All these things factor in to help me out, and those things will help me be able to continue to bring these stories and grow as the channel grows. And with that, hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next video. You're not going to want to miss it.